How's it going? I've been picking at my face. If you see the reds, these zits and stuff, I get a little bit carried away sometimes. Anyways, my roommate's off at a Halloween party, so I can do my video right here, right now. I didn't do my video yesterday because I was on too much of a roll. This is where I'm at. So yeah, I have to just do these suckers on one line, and then I'm done with that. And then I already created the first one on these to build them off of. So all the way down for 5. So once I come here, I'll build these, and maybe I'll get the one that has these ones. Yeah, finish that, and then it's only these ones. So I don't know what I do. I haven't really been paying attention. Maybe it's one a day, and if it is, I guess if I finish this and a little bit of this, but if you continue, maybe this is for tomorrow, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 days, 3 weeks more. That much more? Ugh. 2.5 weeks, I mean. We'll see. And then I have to number them, and that'll be like a while. That'll be the third part to do it on all of them. 160,000 this time. So 159,000. So 159,150 is odd. So I today though, oh, check it out. Oh, the floors. My little rascal, little Savannah monitor's not out. My mom came over and we did my room. Oh yeah, you can see this is in the washing machine. I have to go and get it, actually move it to the dryer and get my pads out of the dryer. I did so much, man. Like, my house was a disaster. Didn't touch my bathroom, but I mean, like, my bedroom, oh my God, stuff piled everywhere. I did that. Now it's so much nicer in this. Yeah, and then, but overall, I'm happy with the progress I'm doing here. And I'm glad that I got my house cut out. Yeah, it was kind of, yeah, I've been totally nocturnal. But today, I wasn't, though. I got up this morning, but I can't remember what time. I went to sleep last night. I got to sleep like maybe a little earlier. So I'm kind of becoming diurnal. But it's 9, and I don't know. I feel like I'll be up all night. I don't know. It's kind of hard because I've been smoking a lot of weed. Now I don't even care anymore about holding back on the weed. I just want to like smoke shitloads of it now. My lungs have been doing well, although I did have to do a Advair hit for the first time in like a month or more today, and I don't have Medicaid anymore. So I don't know how much it'll be to get that Advair. I have to get on whatever, find out what that is, and so, and I don't know how many I have stockpiled. I should have tried to get as many as I could before, but yeah, it just kind of went away because I've been here smoking the good stuff, I guess, and living here in a dry climate. So oh yeah, so this is something I forgot to talk about yesterday. My last video I did, day before yesterday, I try to do them every day, but talked for like almost an hour about my whole MMA idea, which I'm not even gonna have time to do for like at least a year or more. You know, unless I think about it so much that I just freak out. That's what I usually do, but I don't think that'll happen. But by the time I do get around to doing it, whoa, I'll be ready. So yeah, something I forgot to talk about last time though that I figured out, I think, or maybe I didn't. Yeah, not completely. Is yeah, I want to make an MMA Google Earth from this thing that I'm building, because the more things you build on the same area, the better perspective it gets you on all the different things, because you can compare them to each other. So I'll start out with the Battle of Shalon, do all the biggest battles I can think of, and eventually all the battles in history. but then you can turn it into like historical crowds. I'll build my big 10,000 meter high building with all the levels with people that have lined with statues. Roman Legion, other things. Maybe even if you have the space, yeah, Legion with the auxiliary camps around it. And then also MMA, because that's what I'm thinking. Because you can imagine that plugging it into one stage or another of my imaginary history, Boulder Rome, historical place. You build historical things for educational purposes. So I thought of having it's an area. Ow! Oof, I bent my hand like that and I pulled a muscle. It's an area about 0.44 of a mile, by 0.44 of a mile, something like 2,600 feet. And is that a bug bite? Hang on. See, I'm like totally addicted to the zits. It's a damn bug bite. So, 400 by 400 people separated by a meter, which is how separated the Roman soldiers were, which is 160,000 people. And so I had the idea of making a hill that's 100 meters high, and and it has and it goes to the middle on spirals. In fact, I'll show the image, because what I did was I Googled 100-point spiral, because that's actually literally what I Googled. I went to Google 100-point spiral, and I went to images, and yeah, I think like right up there, maybe even the very first one that I saw was this image, which looks perfect to me for 100-point spiral, because what I want to do is superimpose it on top of Google Earth, and I can build my little light spiral from it. So there's the spiral. And so it's 96 points. So you have 7 different spirals, and each one of these is going to be a fight ring surrounded by 100 people. So it's 10,000 people. 100 times 100 is 10,000. So that'll be 100 people, that'll be 100 people, and there's 100 of these. At the top, that's 96. So then you'll have 4 more, because that's the top hill. And it goes up in a cone. So I'll make a hill, like in a cone. It's just a circular, with the flat top big enough to hold 800 people, 8 of the 100 people. Well, I guess it's more than 800 people. It'll be, because there's 3 people per ring, 2 fighters and a ref. So 300 plus, I'm trying to count how many that would be. That's 3 times 100, 300, 1,100, 800. My brain, dude, so bad at math. Okay, hang on, let me figure this out. So when I get so bad at math that I actually can't even remember what the fuck I was doing at all. It like makes me stupider and stupider the more I think about it. And then I'm like, what the hell was I even talking about? So watch me in real time. I'm actually really high right now, though. Before I did the video, I smoked a shitload of weed. Okay, so see, now I can't even remember what I was doing. I made myself retarded by getting stumped with math. It's 10,000 people, but it's more than 10,000 people because it's not 100. It's 103. So you need to add 3 times 100. All right, 10,300. It's not that hard. But then what I could do is I could make it a forest inside of a forest, because each of the people I can just turn into a tree. And you make them separated by more. I don't know how much it is. I'll have to research forests, and I'll have to find out what tree is a meter in diameter. And so I'll call it that tree, and then you make it as high as whatever that tree was. And because it's in a cone, you just drag and drop the trees in their respective circles as you go in, and they're all the same height, and it looks great. And then you see the people in there, and you make the platform, which makes sense because then it makes it so people can't get into it because it's surrounded by cliffs. It has to be hermetically sealed. because you got to buy your ticket. You got to prove that you're of that level, and but you don't do it with a ticket or whatever. You do it with stripes, by your clothing. That's historically how they did it, and even with all over the world, even with the belts. So and each one of those lines, you could have a different color of a ring because each one of the spirals could represent a different discipline, like base discipline. So it could for a different body type. So one could be wrestling, one's jujitsu, one's kickboxing, one's primarily boxing, one's primarily kicking, one's like the holistic type or whatever, and that's like your six of them. And then at the top, it would be the four, and then the four of like neutral for the very top, I guess. The most elite would be the four and the neutral at the very top, where it doesn't matter. And so the idea is that in my fantasy world, everybody goes and and I haven't completely figured this out myself in my head, but they go and they fight there, and they want to get a fight, and if they can, and then the lowest person or people from one level, they have to go down to the level below and fight, and if they win, they get to keep it, but then if they lose the belt, and so that's how you can pass up the ranks, because you can't get a belt unless you take it from somebody else. And so, and like you literally take it from them, like you go in and both wearing it, and it's tied really tight, and you have to take it off of them, so they have to be knocked out. But you go with zip ties, so you can tie their hand behind their back. Or you do it. This is in my fantasy world, because that was before they invented fight suit. But maybe I'll make a version, yeah. But then there's a version where you do a fight suit, but I haven't figured out how you would mechanically do that. But with the fight suit, there is going to be in the back, behind the shoulder blades, or maybe right above, like on the belt, yeah, right on the bottom of your back in the back, will be a zipper. You have to open the zipper and then take out like a paper card, and that's your signification that you won, because you have to disable the person, because maybe you bring zip ties. I only figured this out myself, because you have to prove it, all that. But there's other ways to do it, with like markings, taking a picture of the markings. I haven't figured out the whole thing, but anyways, with the Google Earth, yeah, they all represent a different level, and so the levels go up clockwise, and so each one is a level, and then the next one in that lineage would be 7 levels up, and spiraling up. And then what you could do is even name. Well, you use that to describe, because there's 100 different fight levels. That's why I built that. And I have 100 biker levels, for each distance. And so to have a 100 fighter level, I think that's enough. And I think you would start at 100-pound, and you do it by like whatever the fight level would be for somebody. So you the very top would be whatever level the best heavyweight ever was, and I guess that would be Stipe Miocic. So then, and then the lowest fight level would be 100-pound woman. Untrained. 100-pound untrained woman who doesn't work out. Just a regular woman. Healthy, but... so 50, level 50 would be somewhere halfway between there. And the way that I would figure it out is by reverse engineering it. You just guess off the top of your head, and then you try to piece it together. So what I'm going to do is, see, this is what makes it so interesting. I want to make it totally straightforward and like scientific, like in a way that's point system, and that everybody can understand, and that people can disagree on and adjust and make it their own like levels for different things to make it accurate. And we will eventually make it accurate in the future. So it's kind of like version 1. And so, what oh my God, I lost my train of thought. Oh, right. And so you set up the formula by studying, I think it was 300 fights. You do 100 UFC fights, because those guys are the most skilled, who are the most evenly matched. so you learn what you can learn from all of those. Then they have the highest number of fights to study from, so you can get the most statistics from it to try to design and know what happens most and least, and what's most important for it. So there's 100 of those, and then there's 100 of Epic Fighting Championship, which is for scientific purposes. Figuring out fighting is even more useful because what they do is brilliant. It's the Russians. It's the Russian way to do things. They just get normal people, and they don't do it by weight class or even skill class. They just throw people together who are normal. And the refereeing is a little bit different, but you can learn a lot about it because it's normal people, right? It's not, because it can get a little bit boring, and you can get not get perspective on like realism when you're not using real people. So 100 of those, so there's 200, and then 100 street fights, because that's like no ref, because it's like, so that's 300. And so you would put them, I put them on the website, and then you describe exactly. What I was thinking is you describe exactly what happened from beginning to end, all of the story of it. Then he did this, and he did this, and he did this, and of course the finishing, or maybe if I'm too lazy, just the finishing. But you have to write in how long it took and what round and everything, and the details of the people. And so here's the interesting part. What you do is you have to match what happened in the fight with what the results show. So if you say third round, 30 seconds into the third round, you have to then look at the people and all of their stats. And if you don't know them, you have to guess them, which makes it easier to make it form around me. But and you attach the point system to it. So like if somebody won, by that much, that means that they're a certain level above, because I have to program how many levels above it is based on how long it takes you to finish them. So like 5 rounds of 5 minutes, 3 rounds of 5 minutes, and then with Epic Fighting Championship, it's 3 rounds of 2 minutes, I think, because those people are out of shape, they get gassed quickly, and then it goes down to decision, which is hilarious. You gotta watch that. But so so you would attach an actual number to each of the people, and you would show how they're the same number if they were even, or how they're different if they weren't. And see, if I do that with 300 fights, like I describe exactly what happened and why, and have actual points to all the different sections of both of them, and show that that's how it points to exactly what happened, and I have it lined up with my all my point system, which I explained the other day. Weight, height, reach, skill, which is arbitrary, but I base my system. I base it on your time with the kicking of that thing, and I have a hat on it too. So not only do I have a UFC meter that registers, but I have a hat that's at the highest setting, all 7 buttons on it, and if you can kick that thing off, during the routine or whatever far into the routine, that's extra points. But so whatever you do with your routine, that's your skill level for my situation, for my website. And then speed is 100-meter dash, endurance mile, whether you can touch your palms on the ground from straight leg, and then each inch is less points. And then strength is deadlift, squat, bench press, with double importance on bench press. And I think that's it. So you plug all that in with actual points for each person, and then what happened in the fight, and then have points given and taken away for each person for each fight, and you make it make sense, and you do that for 300 fights, 100 for UFC, 100 for Epic, and 100 for real. Then boom, that's the beginning of being able to actually program it, and I think it's possible and the most interesting freaking thing you can do. So, and so each of the different 100 levels will represent one of these areas of the people who go there, because this is my fantasy world that they go. 10,000 people are always there all the time, who travel from far and wide to try to get their belt. Yeah, it's like a festival that they go to. So 10,000 people are going there to fight, but like maybe like, you know, way more there at the town. Yeah, you can make a whole story out of it, and then make movies out of it. Oh man, but anyway, I'm not gonna do that for a while though. You know, I have to tie loose ends on my stuff for a long time before I can get like another year more, and then it'll take a year to do that. But anyway, what else? Oh yeah. That Epic Fighting Championship is so interesting because, you know, it's real. You know, they're really fighting. But these people don't really, there's a big discrepancy in skill. And yeah, some of those fights are just really funny. Like, there's this one, because Russians, and you're also getting a peek into Russia. Russians are basically like a bunch of white people with 70 IQs who've been drunk their whole life. That's a Russian. So, yeah, Russians cannot follow rules. The reffing doesn't make any sense. The matchups don't make any sense. The people are like disasters, and they do crazy things. It's entertainment gold. You got to watch it. Like and they have certain stars of it who do different fights with people. And yeah, one guy, I think his name is Oleg Krezhin, and he has like 350,000 subscribers on YouTube, and it's a fight channel. I guess he fights people, like backyard brawls. He's from like some Siberia, Russia or something. And then there's another famous guy from Siberia, Russia, the Synthol Kid, who got his arms up to 24 inches by putting 2 liters of petroleum jelly in his arms. And, oh, this is the best fight of all of them. So they pit that Oleg guy who has the face wrinkled like a 70-year-old, because I guess they're all drunk all the time, and maybe working out in the field or something, getting windblown in Siberia. And the other kid, the Synthol Arms, is from Siberia too. So, and they're funny. They have it's like the WWF. They have the interludes with they had a little show about the kid, Big Arms got abducted by aliens. And that's why he has like the big lips and all of because he started injecting his face, and he says it's because the aliens did it, because he wants to look like an alien. Anyway, so they put the Mongol, they call him Mongol because he looks like a Mongol, tattooed, against the Synthol guy in a fight. The Mongol guy's 45 years old, and the Synthol kid was like 26. And the Synthol kid's like arms don't work all that well because like he just pumped him with synthol, and he doesn't work out at all. So he's just a skinny dude just with big arms. And so the Mongolian guy actually trains. I don't think he was training that much, but he actually knows some moves. So he managed to take down the synthol dude and did an arm bar. And you can see the kid's arm, like in the blink of an eye, go from regular color to bright purple. Because as he was doing the arm bar, he busted open all of the synthol sacks and just destroyed his arm, and his arm like popped after that, and he had to get surgery and have like a liter of synthol removed. And yeah, and he was in so much pain. You could see even after he was like, ah. But yeah, and there was another. Oh, these fights are so fucking hilarious. There's another. You can download the entire like fight on YouTube in one thing. It's like an hour and a half. It didn't. On my computer wasn't able to read it, but I need to get all those fights on my computer so I can analyze it all. But they do really long intro videos to people beforehand, so you get to know them, and they're training. Like, they take it seriously. They're fighting, but they're Russians. They're drunk Russians. They had this guy 49, but he looked like he was 79, and he's talking about his training, right? And I've seen people like this when I bike toured through Poland. But yeah, he's like a stick figure, you know, really skinny, but he's wobbling. He could barely stand up. And I didn't hear what he's talking, but he's probably slurring. He was probably drunk off his ass at that moment on like vodka. And he probably showed up to the fight drunk because he was showing his fight moves, and he's like, and so he shows up, and they pair him against a midget, but a bodybuilder midget, like a full-on and I was like, oh no. And so I guess when you see, this is something that they don't teach you in UFC because they don't do this in the UFC. But what happens if you pair people who are wildly disproportionate? Well, the person isn't going to immediately go in and try to kill the person because that's no fun. You're going to play with the guy. So yeah, he went in there and just started. The little midget just grabbed the dude and just slammed him on the ground, and got up and was like, "Get up, get up!" And the guy like could barely get up, and then he just grabbed him and slammed him on the ground again, and told him to get up, and did that like 5 times until he got like sick of it, and then tried to finish him. So he slammed him on the ground and got on top of him and was punching him in the head, but his little midget arms weren't strong enough to knock him out. So he rolled over and did a rear naked choke, but his little midget arms were too short to choke him out. So he was just trying to work it out, and after 30 seconds, he finally choked the dude out. But yeah, that dude was useless. And then they had another fight where it was like, I think it was a husband-wife fight, because the dude like took the girl's top off and tried to do like motorboat on her in the middle of the fight, and like mimicked like licking, like picking her up and trying to like do 69 on her, and it was crazy. And she was like running around the ring, like running after him, and I think they were married. And then there was another fight where it was a 2-on-2 that was serious, and this one dude like won the fight in the beginning and was just punching the dude in the face, and completely knocked him out, and got him like 3 times after he was knocked out cold. And then they fought the other dude, and it took him a while to knock him out, but it's pretty brutal. Like, it's just like UFC. Like, they beat the shit out of you until you tap, and they don't tap, even if they're fighting 2 people. And so you know what happens? Because the Russians, they always jump in the ring, and the guy who got defeated, or the spectators or family members, always, like most of the time, run in the ring and try to pull the people off or fight the people, and so then the security has to go in. And yeah, there was this one. Let's see. If there was another crazy fight. Oh yeah, like they pitched some old lady, like a 55-year-old lady, but she looked like she was 75, against this fat lady, against some like regular like 22-year-old dude who was thin, but he was like athletic. And so she's chasing after him in the ring, and he's like doing like this, and like you can't fight back like that. And so then this other dude jumped in the ring and like told the fat lady to get out, and they had a real fight after that. And the skinny dude lost, but he put up a good fight. But and then what else? There was one other that was really interesting. Um, they had a woman fight a midget, like a little midget, but I didn't see that fight. I was watching working on my website too much when that one went by. I'll have to rewatch these because I didn't see all of them. But and I don't know who won. But they had a midget fight 2 people, and the midget won, because if he knocks one out, they have to pull him out of the ring, and then they do a 1-on-1. And then, I just remembered that one that I was going to talk about, man. It was really interesting. And then they had, it just came back to me, and then it went away. I think it has to do with a midget. Oh, yeah. A fucking 75-year-old dude. Oh, my God. And this dude was ferocious. He was a tiny little guy because he was 75, but he moved pretty good. Well, no, he didn't. He moved like shit for a 75-year-old, but he moved pretty good for a 75-year-old Russian guy. Like he punched like this, but dude, he was walking without a cane. Like, I don't think my mom had a cane when she was 75. And he was there with like his grandson, who was 18, who was skinny, and it showed how they practice MMA with their punching bags and boxing gloves to each other, and it looked like fun. All these people are dirt poor, so it's interesting looking at their houses, like dirt floors and homemade punching bags, and they all live in tiny little rooms and stuff. But they show up and they can't fight, and they put them against this lady who's 26, who looks really mean, but this like 260-pound, 5'9", but like fit, like strong lady. And she tagged the old dude right in the face. and he fell down, and like those two guys were totally useless fighting. Like they did not know what they were doing. I didn't. They didn't even look like they were. I think they were serious, but these are like 70 IQ people, so they don't know even how to move. You know, they come in like this and then get hit, but and they fight like this. People who don't know how to fight, they fight like they put their arms out to try to not get hit, and then they go in like this. So if they do hit you, they only hit you with like a 1 inch punch, not very hard, and then they kind of do like that and to not get hit, and it's funny. But but anyway, she won the fight, but she didn't hurt the guys. There was like nobody was bleeding, but um, and then they had another one with well, they had a press conference with Mr. Synthol Kid, and they were like looking at each other in the face. You can see all these clips on YouTube, and they were like doing like the stare down. They didn't do weigh-ins, but they're doing the stare down, and some dude's like staring down Mr. Synthol Boy, and Synthol Boy like freaked out and swung a punch at the dude. Like he started it. He threw a punch, but his arms are so big, he's so slow, and he missed. The dude just hugged him and slammed him down, and I think he whacked his head on the ground, and then gave him a uppercut, and knocked him out cold. And he was like this for like 5 seconds, and he got up and had like it seemed like he didn't know where the hell he was. He just got up and just sat down. It was like flipping a switch off on somebody. Somebody's all fired up, yelling, and then they punch, and then they're like this, and yeah, he was totally confused. That was funny. And that was like they had other fights too on there too, but not where anybody was knocked out. But that Synthol kid's probably not gonna last very long. There was a famous Synthol Brazilian dude, and he died at 55 a couple months ago because he accidentally put too much into his body one day. But but anyways, though I'm gonna plug those in, and so if I can plug in 300 fights, right, with the points and make the points make sense, the idea is that you can then identify somebody and what level they are and what your level is, and then you can pair people like Dojo Storm and or go to like backyard brawls that are safe, like with like every town should have like a ring that has a soft bottom on it, a soggy bottom, like at the playgrounds, and the ring around it, so that people can go in there and like a ref that the that you can pay to like go and just show up and do it. Even without the suit. No, I make the suit, and then you can do it with the suit. But but yeah, I have a lot of notes on here that I took, and yeah. So like, what rules did I change since the last time? Yeah, I decided like the difference between men and women is 90%, because that's the difference between men and women in strength, pretty much across all sports. Swimming, running, biking. Like the speed would be 90%, lifting 90%, and so probably even strength to weight ratio. But and so fighting strength to weight ratio 90%. So that's 20% weight difference. 200 versus 180. So 200-pound woman is equal to a 180-pound man in an MMA fight, assuming they're the same strength and fitness level across all metrics, which the man would be more. So the man, a 180-pound man, would beat a 200-pound woman because he'd be stronger. But if they were all the same strength, the woman would have to be 20 pounds more, or 10%, or he would have to be 10% heavier, or she would have to be 9%. He would have to be 9% as heavy as her. And so that's the formula for that. But I haven't figured out the formula for anything else. And I think I changed another thing. Before I was thinking you had to kick a 6'6" person, but I changed it. No, you have to kick a 6 foot tall person. Settings to 6 feet, because 6'6" is too much to ask for people, and most people are 6 feet anyway. It's the average. It's the good, medium. And I came the idea with the hat. And anyways, that's as much as I can remember. But I don't think I'm going to be building that for a long time. It's just I've just been thinking about it. I would have to organize my computer and all the different fights on my computer and bust up the little fights. Here's another idea I have. Oh, I'm glad I remembered it. This is cool, dude. What I just thought of. So, in part of my fight suit, I'm going to have all the different fight page. I'm going to have all the different forms, fighting forms, and all the different bits and pieces of their fighting forms that they do. But what you can do is you can get videos of it. Well, if you have videos of it, what you could do is freaking create a fight off those little bits and pieces. Even if they're bits and pieces of different people dressed differently, you can see the fight. You can see, right? So you get it, and you can make it with freaking QuickTime, right? So you get a fight, you get a move from a fight or from a demo. You cut it down with QuickTime, easy as pie. You have it, and then the QuickTime you can add other ones on the back of it, and so that you can cut, crop yourself. Cut, you can't crop it. So yeah, it's like if somebody fight and you have a couple of people punching for exactly the milliseconds that they did, right? And then if one dude did the takedown, you just do a clip of a takedown, and then ground and pound, you do a takedown of a ground and pound for the same amount of period. Literally rebuild the whole fight, just with clips. And the significance of that is that you could then create ones in your head, sequences. Like if you're gonna try to create a sequence to win something against a certain person, if they're gonna put you against a certain person, you look at the person, you look at their strengths and weaknesses and everything. So then you create a sequence for that person with the little clips. And then you watch the clips over and over, and then you practice that sequence. But the significance of that for my website is I can use it for my whole fight thing. So I could to make it be able to look at it from the objective perspective. So you look at the real fight, but then you look at the recreation of it with the bits and pieces, because that's basically what it is, about the bits and pieces. So you're looking at it objectively. Do it with all of them, and then you could create other ones. It's like if you're going to do a hypothetical, and you're watching it with the bits and pieces put together. So then, because you've looked at real ones with the bits and pieces together, then you could then imagine what the real one would go, because you're looking at the bits and pieces that are pieced together, and then you could make imaginary fights that way, and then make sequences for your little dummy, for the fight sequence for that, what I explained yesterday, that way, and then you go, I don't like that. I think I'm going to cut that out. Oh, I think it's better if I do this. Yeah, right. And then you make a whole bunch of them. And so, yeah, I'm just like, it's going to be so cool, because it's a challenge. Most people probably don't even think it's possible, but you're just taking averages, and it's arbitrary enough with the skill, but then you can let it make sense. And then, but the interesting thing is you can then invite other people to do it. I do mine, and it's like, if you don't agree with me, I'd love to see what your opinion is, And all you have to do is tweak a little things, because you can copy and paste what I did onto your website, and then just copy and paste the fine tune it, and then post it. Be like, and then once everybody puts their heads together, after a while, we'll all get it right, where we all agree. It reminds me of a test they did back in like 1910 in a fair, and with a bunch of farmers. They had a bull up there, and whoever guessed the weight of the bull the closest, I guess, won the bull. And so they had like 1,000 people, submit their guess for the bull, and the overall, because they tallied the overall of everybody, was more accurate than any of the individual people. Isn't that interesting? So there's this like brilliant hive mind that's perfect. So use that brilliant hive mind, and that's kind of how we create laws, the whole legal system over the years. And so you could use hive mind to all agree, and then eventually come to the perfect balance for the numbers of all things I said, and I haven't even figured it out yet. And if anybody wants to comment, you're more than welcome, but, so I'll just reiterate really quickly. Height, weight, reach, like how much points do you add for each of them, to create how good of a fight you're at. Height, weight, reach, skill, but you can make the skill scientific. So that's why it's not all arbitrary, based on this or based on like what you're proficient at. So, but, and then strength with the 3 strength, deadlift, bench, squat with double points on bench. Sprint 100 meters for speed. Endurance is your mile time. Limbarity, because you have to be able to kick and twist around. how close you are from your palms on the bottom with your legs straight, and then your points, your time with that thing. And I guess I'll explain that again. Doing a certain a kick configuration, and then you kick the bottom too because it has meters on both sides of the bottom as well as on the top. And then you jump, and then you do 10 squats to overhead presses with 45-pound dumbbells to simulate the wrestling. That simulates kicking, and then the dumbbells separate wrestling, and then the jiu-jitsu. Jump around in MMA and jiu-jitsu, jump around, front flip, bounce off of a bouncy ball, land on top of your jiu-jitsu dummy, do a move really quick, as fast as you can, jump up, do the kick routine again. And you do as many of those circular routines for 5 minutes because it's simulating a fight. And then you take as much time as if they give you in a fight. I think it's a minute. I don't even know. I'll have to research it because now I'm curious. And then you do it 3 times, or you do it 5 times if you're going to do it championship style. And then at the end you time how long it took you or how many rounds you did in that 5 minutes, and then how many hits you got and what your hits power was, and your kick power on the bottom. Your kick and kick and punch power on the top and kick and punch power on the bottom. It's the same exact configuration. So you look at the same ones each time, and look at it, and then how fast you did it, how many rounds you did, because you have to be quick with the dumbbells, and then with the whole jiu-jitsu thing, because you're going to be exhausted after the dumbbells. How are you going to turn around your front flip and then do some jiu-jitsu move perfectly? So and then jump up and kick again. So and then that's your belt. Like the first time I do it, being 53, because I'll be 50 on December 27th of this year, and I won't get going on the actual training for like 5 more years. I'll be like 55 or 60. So whatever a 55-year-old can do, having not even gone even 1 ounce of training other than pedaling a bike across the street for like the last 20 years, so 0 exercise, zero anything, whatever I can do, that's white belt. Like I create the rules for it all. And then from then I'll be training and doing whatever. And then once I can do a certain number that I'll guess, gets me to the next belt. And then red will be what I can imagine the very best person you could possibly do would be. And that'll be red. And then everything in between will be kind of in increments. And so, or whatever I could do as the best would be red. And yeah, and then just create, and then plug that in as skill. So it's so many different things to plug in. And so that's what I I actually have a page on my website already, but it's just a whole collection of copy and paste from my ideas, and I need to do that actually I'm going to do it like soon from the notes to paste it on there, because I have it for animals as well. I'm going to have it for all human life forms that ever existed, Denisovian, all the cavemen, Neanderthal, Homo erectus, as well as how they thought. Not fighting with a human brain with knowing skills, but how they did it. But animals, because when our world, all the animals, when we lose habitat, we're going to have to put the animals in zoos until we get our habitat back. And so we should put them in fight zoos because it'll help fund the animals. You give them human status and you pay them money to fight humans. And then they get to stay alive and then eventually get back to their habitat when we rebuild it. You just defang them and declaw them. Fucking perfect. And train them to do that. All of them, all the different kinds of animals that can do that. And then they'll love it. They'll have fun. You train them to do it. And then over generations of them doing it, they'll learn to do it. And when you put them back in the wild, they'll see a human. Instead of wanting to kill the human, they'll be like, let's wrestle. So they won't know why, but it's because we trained them to do that. Anyway, I'm gonna plug that into my whole like fantasy like Atlantis thing with the Exceed 4,000 buildings. So yeah, I've got like my work cut out for me. So I'll just sit here and just work, for the next 10 years. I don't care. I feel so blessed that I can still do it. Perfect environment for me. Habitat for me, and my mom's still around to hang out with. So and Paula, So yeah, maybe I'll talk tomorrow if I have any more ideas. But my computer was having trouble. I deleted it, filled up because I was downloading all these fights, every single freaking fight on YouTube. Had to put it on a new hard drive, but then I deleted my computer, but then it didn't detect it. But I did an update, and I think it did fix it. I got some back, so I didn't get all of it, but maybe it'll eventually give me more back. If that ever happens to you, your hard drive fills up on your Mac, and then you drag it to an external, and it shows the stuff is still on it, just restart the computer a bunch of times, like 5, 10 times. And after you restart a bunch of, it'll eventually figure it out one time it restarts. But sometimes you have to restart it twice, 3 times, you know. Restarting a bunch of times is like the same thing as giving a sore body a massage or something like that. And then overnight, put it into sleep mode for it so it can sleep itself to fix those kinks. Don't turn it off. So, so anyways, yeah. And then, you know, make sure you're up on the updates. Whenever my computer stops working, I immediately see if it needs an update, and that's usually what happened. But yeah, so like today, I only had like 5 gigs left, even though I took it all off. And I'm doing Google. I was about to do Google Earth because my mom came over here all today, and then we went to the supermarket to get food and came back. And I was just like on like the computer, just like looking at things, psyching myself up to get working again. And all of a sudden, the computer just shut down and restarted. And I was like, is that because there's no goddamn space on this computer, even though I deleted and returned everything? So it restarted, and I was glad that it happened then because it was before I started working. Because if it was after I started working on Google Earth, I would have lost whatever I was doing on Google Earth. And that was only the second time I'd done that, so I started doing this. So I was so like, oh, thank God. So it restarted, and I immediately checked to see if I got any of my gigs back, and I did. I got like 130 gigs back. And so I guess that freak out, crash, and because I did a update yesterday, that like freak out, crash, sudden install, maybe that was it's getting like a brain readjustment, and it managed to ditch the gigs, and it did. I was so jazzed because that means I can start to download. Because I tried to download those, and I don't think I managed to download. That wasn't the problem when the Epic Fighting, and then I have to break them apart, but my computer can't read it. So I think I have to maybe get a program to be able to read it because I can read it with the FLV. Actually, maybe I can. No. Yeah, I was playing it with FLV on Google Chrome, but I actually have the FLV program. Yeah, I'll just open it on FLV and edit them out that way to make them all individual. And of course, also, I was saying this yesterday on Google Earth, on YouTube, I want to do all the finishing moves also for all 300 of them and put them all together and show this is how it happens. And the percentages, you do percentages from UFC, and maybe you can plug that into the importance of the different moves that you do with the fight sequence. The dance sequence is like the same thing. So anyways, yeah, it's pretty cool. But definitely, no matter how excited I get about it, I'm definitely not going to build it because I have to finish some things that I've already done. So it'll just be on the tip of my head, and whenever. But the thing is, this is how I do it. Whenever I get an idea, because I'm thinking about it so much, I immediately go into my notes and I just write it out. I just go, okay, I just in a quick lib. You know, like I was watching the fight yesterday, and these dudes were doing the goofy Russian stuff, and I was like, all right, make them do like WE style preambles, you know, because I'm thinking about my whole, like when we do it in real life, you know, like when I do a fight, a real fight, a fight suit fight, because I don't want to lose my memory and get hit in the head. I want to get hit. Fight suit's gonna have like a big ass like, what's that bad guy from the Avengers? Whatever. The dude with the big chin. It's gonna have these springs attached to the chin, so you punch it as hard as you can. It doesn't knock you out, but it does break the little crusty on top to show that you got punched. And maybe it'll leak a little bit of blood. Each one will have a little bit more like, they'll have a basic one, but even those. So you could get hit by Brock Lesnar or whoever the strongest puncher is, and not get knocked out. Same thing on the side, little springs to protect you, and I'll do those. I'll show up to the fight situations with my fight suit where nobody can armbar me, you know. And I haven't figured out how you judge those, but I learned a lot from these Russians, from their Epic, because they have different set of rules because they're fucking Russians. They don't know how to follow rules. So what they do is, like, there was this one fight, it made no sense. This dude fought a lady, fought a fat girl. This fat girl fought 26-year-old girl, fought some skinny 25-year-old dude. It was more or less a even fight because she outweighed him by a lot. But he was stronger than her. He ended up throwing her down, and he got on top of her. And he was giving her, like, it was not very effective, but he was giving her an upward on top of her. He was choking her out. and with his elbow, and she was about to go out. He was winning the fight, so the ref came and pulled him off of her, and I think they boxed a little more after that because that's what they do. They just pull people off, and then when it came to a decision and she won, because she was the aggressor. She was the one chasing after him, and he was kind of like not really wanting to fight and kind of fighting like this. So those Russians, I don't know, they have like 70 IQs. Nothing they do makes any sense. But you can still learn a lot from the fight. But the cool thing about them is that you can divide up fights into multiple fights. Anyways, I'll talk about it later because my roommate's back.